Oh, when you hear that music, you know what time it is.
I don't hear the music, man. I don't hear
You don't hear it, Coach?
Campbell, you hear it?
Uh-oh. What we got going on here? Oh, yeah. Now you guys hear it now. My bad. You hear it now, don't you, Coach? Y'all can hear it now, can't you?
Yeah, I got my man Emmett Jones. He ready. He got his popcorn.
They locked and loaded, boy.
He got his drink to the side. He ready to roll.
Those Grambling fans been waiting on this one. We should have charged for this one, Coach. We should have charged.
Look,
they've been waiting on this one.
Hey, this blue bread. This is blue bread, as you say, Coach Campbell.
Ain't even no argument about this one, Coach. This is a blue blood.
Hunt, he checking in from Monroe, baby. He representing Monroe right down the street.
Hey, let's find out where everybody checking in from. Let me know where you checking in from. Put your location.
Pacific Gold, put your location.
Put your location in there. I know we're gonna have some Dallas, we're gonna have it all. You know we got Chuck Hunt from Monroe, Louisiana. You know we got him. I would like to welcome everybody to HBCU Coaches Corner. My name is Rocky Miller and my co-host, Mr. Stephen Campbell. But our featured host is none other than the SWAC legend himself, the SIAC Coach of the Year, the SWAC Coach of the Year, none other than my man, Johnnie Cole. Hey, Coach, before we get started, Coach, I got to ask both you and Campbell, how y'all doing today, man? We on the road, Coach, but how y'all doing?
Man, anytime get a chance to present our HBCU schools to the community and to the public, man, it's a great thing, man. It's a new day, and hopefully we bringing enough information out to the people that we do have scholarships. We do have men of character that's leading these young men. And, it's just a great atmosphere. And it's the biggest secret that's now revealed that the HBCUs are coming.
Hey, what's up, Mr. Campbell? What's going on? Hey, I appreciate you being available. Man, looked like we've been available all weekend to do these interviews. These coaches are freeing up now. Now they seem like they got some of the fall camp behind them, and we're able to sit down and have a conversation with them. What's going on with you, Mr. Campbell?
You see what I got behind me, man. You see what I got behind me. See, I keep trying to tell folks, that's my people down there. They got my business to start. So you see me with the Grambling Tiger, boy. Too many people can take that picture like that with that pose. See, hey man, I'm an honorary Graham fam. You know what I'm saying? They know my name down there off Exit 81. So man, listen, I'm excited. You know, Grambling means a lot to me. Grambling's one of my favorite schools. Trumaine Johnson, coach, you know who that guy was. That All-American superstar was my favorite SWAC player of all time. So man, listen, I've always been a big fan of those folks down there at Grambling.
I seen him go to work, Coach. I was a freshman, and he coming around on that counter in that wing T offense, man, and then fake it like he gonna run, and then run that post corner. Yes, sir. I seen him catch 3 against us, Coach.
He go get it.
Hey, Coach. Grambling is no doubt a blue blood, Coach. And with coaching those big time brands, there's a certain level of pressure that comes along with these kind of jobs, Coach. You didn't have the pleasure of coaching at one of these blue bloods, Coach, but you won despite that. Can you personally imagine having the pressure of coaching at a blue blood such as a Grambling or Jackson State, Southern FAMU, Tennessee State, South Carolina State coach, and what kind of pressure being at one of those schools could bring to a coach?
I'll be honest, Coach. I think it's magnificent. You know, one of the things about taking over a bad program, which that's my specialty, coming into bad situations and turning them around, is I never had to compete against winning. All I had to do was win 4 or 5 games, and I had time to wait. As long as I was making the program look like it's supposed to and cleaning it up and putting a face lift on it. But these guys, like you know, who we're about to introduce, and some of these other guys at these top programs, you know, winning is sometimes normal. So you got to come in there and make it happen, you know. And the thing about it is you don't get the time. Sometimes you don't get the time, especially now in this new age.
Hey, Coach, with no further ado, I have to admit, I have to acknowledge, Coach, you're great. Not only this gentleman that's about to be introduced, you got introduced to him very early in his coaching career, and I know you're very proud of him and you recognize him as one of your proteges, Coach. This is another situation where I believe you not only was able to identify a coach, but not only able to coach the game very well, but you were able to identify talent at the coaching level. And with no further ado, Coach, I allow you to introduce one of your proteges, one of the men that you got introduced to very young in his coaching career. Go ahead, Coach, and introduce your guy, Coach.
Without a doubt, you know, he's special to me, you know, and always have been. You know, my brother actually played in Nebraska where he finished up his college career, and they had a mutual friend, and you know, he was looking for a job, you know, and you know, we brought him in. He was raw, coming from an option offense, even out of high school, throwing the football. So, I mean, running the football. So when he came, not only was he just, you know, fresh, you know, he really wasn't throwing the ball as well or even seen or been in the offense. And, you know, but the thing about him, he allowed me and trusted in me that I could point him in the right direction. And we really got personal. You know, his family knew my family, his wife and kids, and we did a lot of things together that we can't talk about on the air. But you know, he went on. I hated to see him go so early when he left us. But one of the things he did, he came in and said, "Coach, man, you know, hey, just give me a chance to get back to New Orleans." He actually left us and went to Nickel State. It was for more money. It was for another better opportunity that we felt were good for him. And he trusted in me, and I told him to go ahead. Great friend of mine. I know at Grambling if they could be a little more patient, but we'll see, you know. But no further ado, my friend Mickey Joseph. Coach Joseph.
Yeah.
Hey, look, they ain't shut the power off over there. The Wi-Fi ain't working, is it?
No. No, it's working. It's working because I'm at my house. But, you know, you're right. You know, when I came to Johnnie and them, I had to learn how to coach. Johnnie showed me how to draw circles. Johnnie showed me how to coach. Johnnie took over my individual with my team when my receivers played bad 1 week. So they showed me how to do it. They showed me how to check my feelings at the door. I appreciate LC and I appreciate Johnnie because they took me under their wing. But at the end, you know, when I had to leave, I had to get back in that Louisiana retirement system, and I did have a wife back in Louisiana, and I was trying to keep her. If I foresee the future, you know, I should have stayed there because she wound up divorcing me anyway. You know, so but I appreciate LC and Johnnie because they gave me my first shot. People don't understand that. People think that I'm not a SWAC guy. My first full-time job.
Hey, that internet in Grambling is a bug, ain't it, Coach? It didn't got another one.
Hey.
But we got, like I say, man, we got patience with Coach. We know that he is he's out in wherever. Hey, Coach, what's that exit you always say, Campbell, that they work off of in
I know coming from Dallas.
Hello?
Hey, Coach, you good, Coach?
Down there, X81.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm good. So you know, it was my first
One
full-time
thing
job was
about
on the
Grambling, you
SWAC.
got to be going to Grambling to get to Grambling.
Yeah,
You know?
you can't
And,
just get lost and
you
say
know,
you're
it's a
gonna wind
great
up in Grambling.
program. It's been a great program for a long, long time.
He's back, Coach.
I'm back.
Okay.
I hate to do this on my phone because my phone rings a lot. I try to do it on my iPad, but I'm not in the office. I got out the office because we practice usually in the morning. But like I said, I'm grateful to LC and Johnnie because they took me under their wing. But more Johnnie because I was with Johnnie all the time. You know, I was with Johnnie every day of the week for 7 days a week. So I learned. So people say when I want to start calling plays, you know, right now, I mean, I said we're one of the best play callers that ever been around, Johnnie Cole. You know, but you know, people be in their feelings about certain things, and that's one thing about HBCUs. We get in our feelings, and we don't separate business from personal feelings, and that's one thing I don't like about it because sometimes we get in our personal feelings and they get in the way of the business. So I'm hoping one day that they will grow up and say, hey, this is business, this is personal. Business is winning games. Personal is, hey, don't worry about what's going on. Is he winning games? Is he not winning games? But that's enough said on that, you know. But I enjoy my time here at Grambling right now. We got it together. We putting it together, and it's gonna work for us. It's gonna work for us because I finally know how to operate here.
Hey, Coach, let me get in here and say this, Coach, because I want to acknowledge something very early, Coach. You had one of the highest of the highs of anybody that to really start off their SWAC coaching career. You were able to beat Jackson State, which many of these schools weren't able to do. Like there are schools in the 5 years I've been covering the SWAC, there are schools that still have not beat Jackson State, and they've had 5 or 6 chances to do so. You did it on your first chance, Coach. Experiencing that high and then ultimately having the season that you had. Can you just tell me what that victory against Jackson State meant and why weren't you guys able to sustain that level, that momentum throughout the rest of the season?
Well, you know, I never lost to Jackson State. And so I'm not intimidated by Jackson State. Like a lot of people get intimidated by them because of, you know, what happens in pregame and they look good and stuff like that. And my thing is, let's just play the game and see what happens. You know, we had them at Alabama State. We beat them in Mobile, you know, and then we came back and we played them at Alcorn. We beat them at Jackson. And then I came to Grambling. We had to go back to back and we beat them back to back. And then we came here and we beat them. But I take my hat off to TC because TC was under, you know, scrutiny also because they thought, you know, Dion, but Jackson State always was a winner. So to beat Jackson State, that was a great task. But we didn't beat the schools that we were supposed to beat, and that's on me. That's why I always say elevation comes with separation. So we had to separate from some people to make sure that we don't make the same mistakes. But the Jackson State victory was a big victory, but it just was one victory. It don't mean nothing because we went 5-7. So now we fixed the things we needed to fix, and now we're going to get on top of things, and we're going to say, you know what? Every time we get off the bus, it's somebody's Super Bowl. So my thing is, you know me, if people know me personally, I'm going to give you a Super Bowl. You know, people right now in the SWAC, they're coming in, they're saying, hey, you know, they the champs. They already crowning themselves. But like I told my kids, they picked us 5th. But every one of them dudes who saying they picked us 5th, those teams got to see us. They got to see us. So the reporters and the newspapers and all that, they did their job. We have a 5-7 team and we lost everybody. I lost 9 kids to the portal. I lost a lot to graduation. But right now, this roster is my roster. I mean, we got 4 to 5, 6 kids that's from Broderick roster, Hughes roster. So this is my biological kids. So now let's go. You want walk? We're gonna give you walk.
You muted, Coach.
Oh, I muted?
No, not you.
Hey,
Coach Cole.
one of the coach, man.
We can't hear you, Coach.
John, you got
No,
that
it
bad?
seems like you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
we
we can hear you.
Yeah, you can hear him, Coach.
I can hear you now.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Coach.
one of the things, you coming behind some greats, Eddie Robinson, of course, Doug Williams, Melvin Spears, Coach Fobbs, um, and you probably understood, some of the pressures of winning there, and it sounded like some of the kids didn't understand, and you use that word in your last statement about target. And when we started winning Alabama State, it wasn't about, oh man, that's Alabama State. It was about, oh, we got to bring our A game. Did you
Yes.
feel that this year? And coach, you coming from a Division 1A, the University of Nebraska as the interim head football coach. So it was a lot on you. It was a lot of targets on you. I don't know if you knew it or that.
Yeah. Oh no, we knew that, but you know what? I'm a Joseph. We always been a target. We was a Joseph before I went to Nebraska. I played at Shaw, so we was always a target. But I always told my kids, pressure is a privilege. When it's pressure, guess what? That means something good about to happen. But at the end of the day, we got to go out there. We got to execute as a team in all three phases. But at the end of the day, I really don't care that they want us to be their Super Bowl, but I'm gonna give them a Super Bowl, Johnny. I got to give them a Super Bowl because they say they're not, but we see kids that don't play for 3 weeks, but when they play Grambling, they play, and they don't play for the rest of the season. So that's their Super Bowl. But they know, like I said, they see me, they know how to find me, and they know to talk to me. But my boys will be ready to go. They'll be ready for SWAC play. We got to deal with Langston first. Langston's going to be a really good football team. And then we got to go to Ohio State and play that money game. And I said it, we go play that money game. And then we'll get down to business after that. But at we love what we're doing right here with this team. We love this team. I love this coaching staff. And so I'm looking for good things to come.
Yeah. You had a whole bunch of movement, coach. A whole bunch of movement. Did you lose your defense coordinator, or more so your offense receiver coach? You made a lot of changes. You want to talk about some of the guys that you brought in?
Well, I brought in Eric Losi. I was with him at Alcorn as the O-line coach. I moved Reggie Nelson to my general manager. Joe Nix left us. And then I brought in Wyatt Anderson as my tight ends coach. And then on defense, we brought Willie Garcia in. And also at the receiver position, we brought Reggie Moore in, a guy that Johnnie, brought Reggie Moore in. But we brought Coach Taylor in, from the D-line coach, assistant D-line coach. Jalen Ivory's going to take over the main squeeze of the D-line. But I brought some guys in that's going to see things my way, because I learned this from LC and Johnnie. If you don't do it my way, I'm going to get rid of you. And listen, and that's why I preach. Like, it's no way in the world everybody on the staff did their job the way you wanted to do it to get the job done. So if they don't do the job the way I want it done, then I'm gonna get rid of you.
Yeah.
Because that people say, well, think about their family. No, you should think about your family before you cross me. And that's how I am. And that's how I am. And I tell people this: my brother Vance had to let my brother Sammy go when he was at the 49ers. He had to cut his own brother. So if I tell you a story like that, why would you cross me?
Right.
Why would you cross me? It's common sense not to cross me, but some people take you for granted. Some people take you for granted, and I'm not to be played with, because I don't play with grown men. I tell you what I need to tell you, and I do what I need to do. I told him the story, Johnny, when we played bad at Troy, we had all those drops. You was in my meeting room. You was in my individual, but I didn't quit as a young coach. I didn't get an attitude. I learned what you told me. Hey, Mickey, they need to catch balls here. They need to catch more balls. I learned all that. You need to break it down in the meeting room. Hey, you need to draw circles better. I didn't break in 1999 when you was drilling me, and I had to spend every day with you. I had to drive you around. I had to do everything. But as a young coach, I appreciated that, because you was always giving me knowledge. He was always giving me knowledge of what was going on in this college profession. And you know what? People get their personal feelings in some things, and I don't do that. Business is business. Personal business is personal business.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you, Coach, that you are one of the guys that, never took that personal. We still friends today, and you still, we reach out, or we see each other and we greet each other. I'm just like you. you got some guys that take stuff like that personal. They don't look at the positive behind it. They look at, oh, this guy was on me. And my love, man, I give you the shirt off my back. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? But like you say, business is business and pleasure is pleasure. And it's my job as the office coordinator at the time or head coach is to put my foot in your ass. I don't have a problem with that because I believe in winning. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And and unfortunately for me, it's happening. Hell, hey Mick, I'm the head JV middle school coach right now, and I had to tell the kids.
You running that hobo offense, ain't you?
I had to tell the kids, look, don't get upset at me. I just got a passion. I love you guys. I do. I had to tell them. I had to give each one of them a hug. I said, like, sit your ass down. Let's get to business.
Yeah, let's get to business.
So no, I just tickle, but Coach, man, hey, the hump is on your back, baby.
Oh, no doubt. And you know what?
The Grambling folks, hey, we've been talking this blue bread. You at a blue bread program.
Yeah.
And sometime it ain't no tomorrow. You got to coach each day like it ain't no tomorrow because they expect the G to win.
Exactly, and like I said Sunday in church, when I found this program was broke. Because when you find a program losing like Grambling, the years they lost 5 years in a row, that means the program's broke. So we all got to sit down, administration, me, and everybody else, and figure out what's going wrong. If I don't get it done in 2 years, and they say, hey, Mickey, you got to move in 2 years, okay, what's going wrong? What are we not doing? Are we hiring the wrong coach to function the way that we need to function here at Grambling? What's going wrong? But I think at the end of the day, after a year, I kind of figured it out how we need to function here, because people don't understand this. When I went to Tech in 2016, I've been in the PWIs all that time. And say, call a spade, they function a little differently. They function a little differently. I never had to deal with it. I don't think O had to deal with the president. I don't think O had to deal with the AD until they probably let him go, but he walked away with 15 million. So I had to learn how to deal with the president, and we got a good president, we got a good AD, but I had to learn how to deal with that, because when I was at Nebraska and I was the interim head coach for 9 weeks, it was one signature on that line. So now when I look at papers, it's like 5 signatures. So I had to figure out, like, why all these signatures on? So I had to learn how to work with them. I had to learn how to, if I want to be here, I had to learn how to work with them in their world. Yeah, because I had been out of their world for so long. In 6, 7 years is a long time to be out the world and come back in. Because I came back in thinking the kids gonna be, no, I don't have the resources to get these kids back the way we need to get them back. So I had to change the way I practice. I had to change the way I meet. I had to change a lot of things that I believed in for so long, because I had to figure out how to do this at Grambling. And I don't figured it out. Now, one thing about, my daddy raised us now, not to be no fool. Figure out where you at in the hood, or figure out where you at in the gated community. Right. And so I figured out where I'm at.
Right. Speaking of the 2-year contract, are they holding you, or they holding you to that? It was public, so it ain't nothing. It was public knowledge that you signed a 2-year contract, and I guess that was something new, or is that something you had something to do with it too? Because I know you got your agent. Now that you're back in that seat, you're back, in there. I know you're gonna have some choices, but have you guys sit down and maybe they talked about extension, or is it still the 2 years? And I think it's an 8-game winning season.
Yeah, 8 games. 8 games, then it's automatic extension for a year. But we're gonna sit down and talk. I let my agent sit down and do that. I got a agent, Robbie Poplin, but I'm going with another agent, also that's gonna deal with this side, But I'm not really worrying about, the 2 years, because I'm gonna get it done. And if I don't get it done and they ask me to leave, I did the best I can do, then I'm a ride. I'm a ride. But I have a resume, so I'm gonna work somewhere. I'm gonna work somewhere. So it's not like they I didn't get it done in 2 years. Well, Hugh didn't get it done in 2 years. Roger didn't get it done his last 2 years. But everybody lands on their feet. But when the program is broke, and you don't have the resources that you're supposed to have, it takes about 4 to 5 years to
Yeah.
fix it.
I
Hey,
got one more
Coach,
question.
go
I got
ahead.
one more
Go ahead,
question
Mr.
before I
Campbell.
let him go. When you came in, and I noticed who you hired, what was because of the success you had with Fobbs and that coaching staff. Did that have something to do with your the way you hired this first year? Like, man, we had it going on with this staff.
Yes.
The only change is you and Fobb. It seemed like you kind of brought those guys back in and say we could, if we did it then, we could do it now. Was that
Yes.
kind of some of your philosophy when you first came in?
That was it. Coming here because understand the world that I was in before, I couldn't afford some of the guys that I that I wanted to go get. Because when I called them with the salaries, they were like, "Nah, dog, I'm good." So when you talk about guys that I wanted to get, they're making 300,000-400,000. So they're not going to leave as position coaches. They're not going to leave me to come be a coordinator. So I had to get the guys that I can pay for. And I made some mistakes with that first staff. Sometimes your first staff's your worst staff. But like I said, if I was going to elevate, I had to separate, and I wasn't scared to do that. And I think some people are scared to do that at HBCUs. They scared to separate. And I'm not scared to separate because at the end of the day, only one person going to judge me, and that's God Almighty. And that's why I don't listen to all this noise out there. Like I always say, if you got something to say, you know where to find me. You know where to find me. I'm at the field house. Find me. I go to the field house and I come home. I live right here in Grambling. So you know where to find me. So all that foolishness that they talking out there, I don't listen to all that. Keep paying your taxes and let me make this 6-digit salary. You know?
Hey,
Keep
Coach.
paying your taxes.
Hey, Coach. Even with all of the, I don't know any details or anything like that, but you decided to make wholesale staff changes.
Yes,
But I
sir.
wanna say this, Coach. You guys were just a few points from
Absolutely.
really playing in the SWAC championship, to be honest with you. There was a 5 overtime loss to Prairie View. There's a 2-point loss to Alcorn State. You lost by a touchdown to Texas Southern. I mean, Bethune-Cookman, you were right there on the road winning that game. You beat an Alabama State team that showed some grit despite not having losing several quarterbacks. And then you had a tough loss in Huntsville. And then for all accounts and for all intents and purposes, in my opinion, you still had a chance in the Bayou Classic, Coach.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys were right there, Coach.
Right
you were
there.
right there. With that being the case, being right there, Coach, why did you end up making those wholesale changes on your staff?
Because I need to elevate. I need elevation requires separation. That's what I was always taught in my family. If we gonna elevate, we can't let my uncle come back to the house no more. If we gonna do this, we can't let it's business. It's business. I looked at it and said, okay, this is what we were bad at. This is where we didn't take control of the game. This is where this position didn't play well. So I had to go back and decide that, and it's not going to take me long. Like I'm going on my 28th year, so nobody really can tell me that I don't know what I'm looking at, because a lot of people try to tell you, "Oh, you don't." I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. You probably don't know what you're doing at your job, but I know after 28 years, and I've been on both sides of the tracks. There ain't too many people been on both sides of the tracks and been from NAIA to Power 5. Check people resumes. They ain't been where I've been.
Yeah.
So I knew what I needed to do, and I did it within 48 hours after the Bayou Classic.
Yeah.
And that's the business part. It could have been my brother Sammy. If he didn't do what I said do, hey man, I'm going a different direction. Tell me I can help you. That's my speech, because I warned you and I told you do what I asked you to do. And if your players don't, only way I can judge you is how your position play. If your position played at a poorly, then I'm gonna get rid of you, because that I didn't hire you for your position to play poorly, and I don't like excuses.
Yeah.
I don't like excuses. I like
One
you
of
to.
the things, one of the things, yeah, one of the things watching y'all, Coach, especially I've seen in the Prairie View game, it's like you just was one or two plays away from making the big play, But the problem was, to me, from evaluating you guys, is that nothing was never set up. You know, it wasn't set up to get that one play that you need. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like you shot all your guns, and when you needed the other gun, you forgot to have it loaded, and you was cap,
Yes.
and you just needed that one play, and it just never came about.
Well, it goes back to like I was telling the offense staff today, because I'm in there and I'm in there strong. It's about organization. It's about knowing what the defense want to give you, knowing what you can do against the defense. But the first thing you need to do, establish the run. You got to be to see if those three techs and those noses want to take on run blocks. Because one thing they can do in this league, they can rush the passer, and they can play man defense. They can play man back there. So now I want to test your linebackers, and I want to test your D lineman, and I want to test your D coordinator gap integrity. Are they going to be in their gaps? And I'm going to hit you over and over again and make sure that you're consistent being in your gaps. If you show me that, then like you said, Johnny, then I'm going to move to something else. So one thing's going to set up another thing. And so we're doing a great job with it right now. Sharon Carey's coaching the quarterbacks. We're doing a great job. Chris Peters is coaching the running backs. So we're doing a great job of setting stuff up. But we're working together. And the defensive staff they rolling, with Willie Garza and Deli in the back end, and Coach Rollins at the linebacker position. So, we was in sync last year. And like I said, we lost some close games last year. So I had to go back and look at those games and see how we lost them. And I thought we lost them because we didn't get a first down in 4-minute offense. We didn't execute in the red zone. We didn't execute in overtime. So when I looked at it, it was always, when I look at the numbers, because men and women lie, numbers don't. The numbers didn't show me that the offense did what they had to do, because they was in the hundreds, and the defense was in the top 10 and top 20. So numbers, I look at numbers. I'm a numbers guy. So I look at numbers, and numbers tell you who you are. If you're an 8-5 team, then after a bowl game, then guess what? That's what you are. You're an 8-5 football team.
Yeah.
So I go on the numbers, and the numbers didn't make sense to me. So that's why I had to do what I had to do. And like I say, it's just business.
Yeah. Well, it seemed like you right there, Coach, because you beat Jackson State, you beat Alabama State. If you put all the teams together, you beat 2 of the top 4 teams in the conference. Well, you beat the national championship team, and then you beat another team who will probably rank 3rd, and then you lose to all the bottom teams as well. So you could tell it was some, you could tell that's some stuff going on, not necessarily in the locker room per se.
Yeah, and that's the thing about it. We got total control. Total control. It's our kids in there now. So nobody can go in his other kid's ear and say, man, we should be doing this, because now I don't recruited all these kids. All these kids, they know what I want. They know how I want things. They know that, hey, pick the locker room up. The locker room ain't up, and ain't up. Guess what? Go put your grass shoes on, because I'm gonna run you. So they know not to play with me on some of the things. I have no coaches in the building that when I say something, before I get to the stop sign, somebody's calling me, telling what I said in my staff meeting. Man, I don't get down like that. Gangsters rule with silence. That's what my daddy taught me. So when it comes to this football program, I'm going to move in silence. I don't be in all these talk shows. I do this for y'all. I don't do all that. I'm a football coach. I'm not a politician. I'm a football coach. I don't have to sell myself, because at the end of the day, it's football. And that's what I try to do. I try to coach football, and that's all I want to do. But I want my business to stay inside my building. I don't need everybody knowing what's going on. We have a really good football team. Because nobody knows what's going on inside our building. But everybody knows pick fifth, because they know nothing about this football team. They know nothing about this staff. That's just the media. So I tell the media all day, do your job. Come to practice. I got open practice. I don't hide nothing from nobody. Everybody running the same stuff,
Damn, Coach, it look like you need to put a helmet on. You ready to put your pads back on, ain't you?
Hey, look, Johnny, I told him I didn't start losing until I started coaching. I'm quarterback. I'm going 9-1 at Nebraska. I'm going 10-0 at Nebraska.
Well, hey, I feel the fight in you, Coach.
Oh no, yeah,
I'm getting
look,
fired up. I'm
yeah,
ready
but
to.
you know, they played with me the first year. I ain't gonna let you play with me twice. You know that, Johnny. And Johnny, you be proud of me because I've been good. It's not the Mickey you know in 1999 when you said, "Hold up," in Tuskegee. Mickey, don't slap that boy. So I'm about to slap him, Johnny. He was talking noise. I was about to slap him.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah. Go ahead, Coach.
no, I'm gonna let Campbell in here, but Coach, when I first met you on your first interview, when you were, I guess, a candidate for the job, you came across as such a nice, kind man, just a good guy.
I am a good guy.
Today, it's a new, it's a guy with it. I see the fire in you. I see the desire in you, Coach. And I'm not saying you changed as a person because I don't know you personally, but it's good to see that you got that fire, Coach, because that's what's needed in this sport.
No,
We need men with passion and with fire.
and you're right. I've been had a lot of fire, but sometimes people look at the fire and they take it the wrong way. So after a year, so I see what some of the people say, like, okay, well, I'm gonna give you Mickey J. You know, I'm not gonna give you Mickey Joseph. I'm gonna give you Mickey J. So if I give you Mickey J, this is what you're gonna get. You know, this is what you're gonna get. But I'll tell you, like, you know, it's been a great journey here at Grambling. You know, I know they want to win, and I want to win, and we will win. But the fire is here, and like I tell my teams every day, they picked us fifth, so they want war. So guess what? We're gonna give them war. They want Super Bowl. We're gonna give them a Super Bowl, and I'm gonna make sure because you said, okay, you let me get close to you. So you should have got me this first year because this second year, I'm trying to bury you. I'm trying to bury you every single game. And after the game, I just want to shake your hand and tell you to get better next week because that's how I feel right now, and that's how my boys feel. Because remember what I said, these are my kids now. These kids believe in what I believe in. And it's so hard with this transfer portal. People don't understand. You got to get these transfer portal kids. You got to get the right kids in here. Because if you get the wrong kids in here, they'll tear your team apart. And you can't let your assistant coaches talk you into taking a bad player. You can't let them do that. And I didn't let nobody talk me into all these kids that's in this building. I know these kids personally. And I tell coaches, if I don't like them, then you're not taking them. So I like all the kids that's in the building. We got a great group of kids. They love being in there. They love me. I love them. We work together and we're looking for war.
Well, Coach, listen, I'm super excited to talk to you. As you can see, I got the representative Grambling behind me.
I
Coach,
see that.
let me tell you something, Coach. I know about them folks at X81. I've done business with them. I'm very proud. And I'm going to tell you what I do know. And there's a famous video of Eddie Roberts on the chalkboard talking about you whooped that man across from you.
Yes.
See, coaches from Grambling, people from Grambling, they don't do all that slick talking. See, what I like about you, Coach, and I think what people from Grambling that I know they like about you, you are straight ahead with the talk. We not going left, not going right. It's directly front. So, Coach, I know a lot of people respect you for this type of talk that you do, because that's what G-men are about. They ain't all that fancy talking and, talking trash, talking and stuff. Grambling men don't do that. You know what I mean? They do it on the field. So I'm just going to tell you what I do know about that. Now, I thought something I heard that you made a lot of conversations and discussion about the portal. And I wanted to talk to you about your team and also talk about some of your players that are going to be highlighted. One of the things when I was looking at your recruiting, I read somewhere where you said, you know what? I feel really good because I recruited about half of my freshman class. Yes. So I feel really good. So the guys that we brought in through the portal are guys that we felt could make an immediate impact. So let's talk about the guys, because it looks like you went for junior college guys that were hungry. It looks like you didn't go for those guys that are, hey, I'm at a Power 5, I should be a prima donna. But it looked like you recruited guys that are hungry, and that's what G-Men are about. So let's talk about your recruits that you brought in through the portal and some of the maybe some of the underclassmen that you brought in.
Well, you know, when you talk about the portal kids, you can't get food with this Power 5 stuff, because some of these kids are walk-ons at a Power 5 and they'll say a Power 5 bounce back. See, you can't fool me with that. So we got a kid, Terrell Rabbie from Middle Tennessee that can play. You know, we got Kendrick the Banks kid from Ole Miss that can play. So we have kids that we wasn't fooled about this Power Five bounce back. Either we dug into you now. We dug into you now. But like I said, I redshirted 20 to 24 of my freshmen. So now my freshmen, they're not 17 and 18 no more. They're 18 and 19. So I didn't go out and bring a whole bunch of freshmen in. I brought some more JUCO kids in because JUCO kids are hungry. And I brought some transfer kids in also. But at the end of the day, when they talk about portal kids, I lost 9 in the portal. And I was the first one to say it, that when they take kids for me to go to Power Five, they should have a buyout. They should pay the school money, not me. They should pay the money back to the school. So now all these coaches now want to say, oh, this ain't fair. No, y'all should have said that in the beginning. Now y'all saying it. Y'all had the stage in the beginning to say it. But the kids we brought in, I thought it, like T said, kid from Southern, he's a no-brainer that we was gonna bring in. He had college reps. He didn't have the career he wanted at Southern. So I watched him. I got to watch him every weekend because when I was breaking Southern down, because I watched Southern every game and I watched him. So he was a kid that I was intrigued with because I said, man, this kid can really play. You gotta polish him up a little bit, but he got a great arm. He got poise, and guess what? He got heart because you seen him stand in the pocket with that pressure coming in his face and delivers the ball. So that was a good feeling for us. But most of our kids came on defense. Our D linemen came on defense. We got Big Ike from Nevada. We got Shane from a JUCO. We got Warren from East Texas A&M. Now I'm not saying their last name. Come and make them go search because I don't want to give all my secrets away. But we got some dudes in the building. But also those freshmen that I recruited, because I recruited that freshman class, they can flat out play, but they won't be here very long because as soon as they play, they're gonna do what? They're gonna leave. We just got the big Boston kid from Ole Miss, a big 6'8" tackle that was Ole Miss, and we got him. We got the Ackerman kid, a 6'8" kid from St. Louis that qualified late. So we got some dudes in the building right now from the transfer portal, but we also got some freshmen that came in here also that's going to help our redshirt freshmen. So we're going to have about 24 redshirt freshmen out there. And those kids are really lighting it up right now because they're working. They're working their tails off right now. And they're giving Grambling everything that they can give Grambling. They're giving it. But at the end of the day, it's one family, one legacy. One family, one legacy. Focus and finish. Focus and finish.
Well, Coach, let me ask you this question. I want to talk about some of the guys that were highlighted on the All SWAC team because those are the guys that I believe, as you say, are your guys. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That you coached them up and they didn't leave. They wanted to be there. So let's just kind of talk about a couple of those guys and what they're going to bring to the table as far as leadership. So I want to start. You got Brian Cage, defensive lineman, All SWAC first team. What is he going to do? Because you've got these other guys that you said are going to be playing next to him. What does Cage do? Is he a leader? Is he got this? Is he a quiet guy? What kind of guys and what do you expect from him this season?
Well, Bryce Cage. I'm telling you, Bryce Cage, he was a kid. I told him, I said, don't go to Utah State. I said, come to Grambling. He went to Utah State. He called me. He said, Coach, should I go to class? He said, because you was right about everything. Oh, yeah. I told you there was an odd front. There was a 3-3 stack, and they was going to have you at that 4-eye. You in a 4-eye. So Bryce Cage is a kid that I thought was held ridiculously last year. That he should have been first team last year, but he was held. So now they had to give him preseason first team. He's a kid. He's an NFL kid. He's a kid that can play on the next level. And I've been told this by a person that I know that coaches in the NFL, who's my brother, that this kid's got NFL talent. So we really enjoy how Bryce. Now, Bryce is a leader, but Bryce, when I talked to Bryce about leadership, and Bryce said he's like a wolf. He said he lead from the back. So I had to go back home that night and look and see how wolves lead. And he's right. The big time wolf leads from the back. He walks behind the pack. And that's what, but he's still a leader. At the end of the day, Bryce gonna do a whole bunch for us. We love Bryce. Butch is playing his butt off. He's a great leader. He's on our leadership council. And he only really talks to me. He only really talks to me and his coaches. But if things are going wrong, he's going to be vocal and say, hey, we gotta get this thing going. Now, if anybody can shut down practice, he can. So sometimes I take him out to drill. because he shuts down practice. Because I told him, I said, if you don't get out of practice, we're gonna chip you. And when we chip you, that means we're gonna chip you in your ribs. And I don't want to hurt my own players, so I take him out. But we love having Bryce. I think Bryce is on what is Ford School, Southeastern, Texas State, Utah State, than us. So we enjoy Bryce. Bryce gonna graduate. So that's one thing people not understand. And also, I'm getting him here after 2 or 3 schools, and I'm still graduating. Nobody want to say that. Grambling's still graduating. Dr. LaMelle making sure we still graduate these kids. So people not talking about that.
And that's a good brother. I know him very well. I knew him when I was down there hanging out in the ground. Now, Coach, one of the biggest things, and you're a guy, even though you're an offensive guy, you got a defensive mindset.
Yes.
You got a punter that's going to be able to flip the field to set up your defense for a guy like, hey, let's talk about John Stefano's your all-conference punter.
Well, Johnny's the reason that we went to morning practice, because Johnny was like, Coach, we need to practice in the morning because we'll have more energy in the morning because it's so draining, in the afternoon because, how you want us to practice. So I said, Johnny, you know what? Let's try it. Johnny's a 22, 23-year-old from SMU. And he should have rugby. Like I said, sometimes on a rugby, he should have just ran the ball because they just turn and run. But Johnny's a great leader. Johnny's on our leadership council also. He can flip the field. He also can kick off and he can kick extra points. But we love having Johnny.
Now, Coach, I'm going to go to the other side, and you got a big offensive lineman, Taj Martin.
Yes.
Second team All-SWAC. Once again, Grambling, and Coach, listen, you're from Louisiana. Coach, you know this, so I'm going to kind of say something for some of the younger people. Grambling was always known for nasty defensive linemen and big offensive linemen. Of course, they had a lot of skilled guys, of course, the Doug Williams and the Charlie Jones and guys like that. But when you start looking at the history of Grambling and those All-Americans, it was those defensive Ernie Ladd and guys like that. You know what I mean? So what about you? Now I'm going to your offensive side. Tell us about your offensive lineman that's on all conference.
Well, Taj is he's been there for a while. He was previous. He checked the boxes. I love Taj's footwork. I love Taj's leadership. Taj is a kid that's gonna come off the rock and he's trying to destroy you. So we're gonna get Taj back going. He's eager to go right now. He's eager to go. Like I said, our young freshman offensive line, we 6'8" at the tackles, we 6'8" at the left guard, we 6'4" at the right guard, and that's our backups. They're young though. But Taj is a great leader for those young men because he shows them work ethics, how we need to work and what we need to do. Because now we're doing a really good job of communicating with the box. Because I know everybody wants to communicate with coverages and things like that. But when you're going to run the ball, you got to communicate the box. You got to know if we're pushing into the mic or we're pushing away from the mic or we're running into the 3 technique or we're running to the shade. So we're doing a better job of that. But Taj is doing a great job of leading these young players.
Now, Coach, one last kid, and I really like this kid, your Cali kid, Blake Davis. Looks like he could be an All-American quarterback guy, nice size guy, Cali, tough. Coach, talk about that kid.
Well, with Blake, Blake had, come from San Jose State. His mom and dad, 2 successful business people, they retired. And so they was like, you know what? Blake needs to go down south and play football. So when we was watching the film on Blake, I told the defensive staff, we can't get that kid. Look at that film. That kid's going to come to us. Well, the parents drove him here. And when they drove him here, they left Blake here. Blake don't got down here and met him a little girl. And now, Blake straight Louisiana. And so we love having Blake. Blake's the next level player. He can turn in and run. He's got good skills, got a high football IQ, but he has great leadership for our young corners. With Jay Sean and JG, he's a great corner. And I ride Blake because I coach my best players the hardest. I dig in Bryce, I dig in Taj, I dig in our best players the hardest. The quarterbacks, I abuse the quarterbacks in front of the team. Because I think when I challenge them in front of the team, everybody else going to be on point, But with Blake, I'm always on Blake. Why are your knees straight? You lazy. Don't get bored. Because they're not really going to throw at Blake. So I tell Lenzo, the other corner, and Tara Rabbit, the other corner, they're going to throw at y'all because they're not going to throw at Blake. So the reason we're gonna shut them down because they're not gonna throw at Blake, but you got to do your job. But Blake's a great leader. You know, he's been a great. He was great at the SWAC media days. Him and Nick Howard. I really enjoy those two kids. They played it butts off. But like I said, we have a good group of kids that's in this building right now.
Well, Coach, I'll tell you, I appreciate you just highlighting because I think Coach, and I want to make this point, which is so important. We've had a lot of coaches on, but the theme, the constant theme, and I'm going to keep reminding because we have a lot of parents that watch, these shows because they want to know what your coach is about. But the one thing, and this is the greatness by HBCU, the one thing I heard, what did you say? Getting your education. If they're going to come to Grambling and get a degree, doesn't matter how many other schools they went to before. I'm going to make sure they're going to be a finished product when they leave and be being a G-man. So, Coach, I really appreciate you kind of letting people know because people, they know you. Mickey Joseph played in Nebraska, he coached at LSU and all those things. But what they heard was Mickey Joseph, the coach that cares about these kids. And I appreciate the fact that you're telling that. And one thing I think a lot of parents are going to respect because I believe, again, just hearing you, I think you're going to be straight with these parents to let them know where their kids are at and what you can do for them. So, Coach, we appreciate you just being honest and kind of tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I appreciate y'all because, like nobody's talking about education. And I tell all our young men that's in our meeting room, the ones that's going to go far is the ones who going to get an education. Like I tell my kids, if you're going to be an engineer and you got an engineering major, I don't want to see you 10 years down the line. You working at Starbucks and ask me if I want a double shot of milk. I want to see you I want you to be an engineer, but I learned it from Johnnie and them. When they didn't go to class, we put them on dawn patrol, so if they don't go to class, there's consequences right here. If they don't go to study hall, it's consequences because at the end of the day, the only thing you're going to have when you take this helmet off is your education. The reason I can stand in front of them because I have an education from the University of Nebraska. So we do still preach education here. Now, nobody's preaching. All these kids are worrying about NIL, how much money I can make. Well, I played for free, and I didn't play for free totally, but but I got my education, and that's what I want them to do. I want them to get the education, and I don't have long conversations with them about it. If they don't do what I ask them to do and they don't do education, I say, you know what? Just stay home. Just sit home. Because that's what's going to happen to them in the long run if they don't start something and finish it. And that's all thing people want you to do in this world is know what you started, did you finish it? So our kids understand that. We do a great job, getting them into academics, for us to study hall. But our kids also know that education is important. They preach that on that campus. And when you look at that campus, these kids are in class. I was so happy to see the freshman kids and the undergrad class just on campus and going to in-person classes because you didn't see that, when I was in COVID because everybody started going online. And if I can give any parents any advice, when your freshmen go to school, don't let them take online classes. Make them go in person because you're killing their social skills when you let them get on online classes and they got the bonnet on their head, they got pajamas on. No, make them dress up, make them be professional, and make them go to class.
Man, Coach, listen, I'm going to tell Rocky to clip that because I think, and Coach, you understand this because you came in Nebraska. You think about people that you matriculated with, your freshman brothers, you people that you graduated with, stuff like that. And I think, especially for the freshmen, that is the most important year of your college career to really understand. And like I say, and again, Coach, I was just at a gathering with friends of mine for 37 years that were we were freshmen together. 37 years later, we're still there. So for a football team and what you're saying, Coach, because I think what you also I hear is that each one of your players are holding each one accountable. Hey, man, you need to be here studying. You need to make sure you're not late for class. And I think you've already kind of set that tone, which I think, again, I want to keep being this bullhorn because I want people to understand. Coach, you can understand this. Everybody can't go to Nebraska. Everybody can't go to LSU.
No.
But I tell you what, though, Grambling might be the fit for you. And that's what I'm trying to get people to understand. A lot, and Coach, I'm getting on my little soapbox here, but I'm trying to preach to the choir. We have a lot of black fathers that don't know the greatness of the Gramblings, Jackson State, FAMUs, and such, and Southerns. Well, when they see LSU, they see Texas, well, that's all I want my kid to go. Maybe that's not your fit because if you look, Grambling has put just as many people in the NFL as the Texas and the LSUs. And if you see what I'm saying, so you can be part of that legacy. So I really want people to understand what they have down here at Grambling and what kind of coach you are and your experience.
Well, I always tell them I'm in grade 57. You know, so I'm in a higher grade than they are. You know, I tell them all the time, I got daughters y'all age. I got two daughters about to graduate from OU. So my thing is, if I graduated and my kids graduated, I want my players to graduate because they're my kids. They're young men. I'm responsible for the young men. And I tell my young men, when they walk in the building, they're the most important person. So they know when they knock on my door, because I have meetings, I have the door open. When they knock on my door, they know I stop the meeting and say, okay, tell me what you need. And I think that's the way you have to be. Anywhere I've been, that's where I'm gonna be. I'm gonna make sure that they're the most important people when they walk in the building, because you don't know how those kids are growing up. You don't know what they're going through that day. So that one little gesture is just like coach took time out to just to hear my ranting on something. But guess what? I love my kids. My kids love me, and good things gonna come out of this. Good things gonna come out of this because we don't figure this thing out here at Grambling. And we, like I said, everybody wants to win. We know everybody wants to win at Grambling, and and people expect Grambling to win. And that's what our kids understand. Like we got to be well rounded with everything that we do. You know, from A to Z. From A to Z, we got to be well rounded. We got a great president that sits in front of us that makes sure that we have everything, and we just got to keep pushing forward.
Hey, Coach, I want to look at I look at your schedule, and it's interesting. I'll say this, Coach, and I'll go over it with you just briefly.
Okay.
You play Langston
Mm-hmm.
in Shreveport. You go to Columbus, Ohio, and play Ohio State. You play Kentucky State and East Texas in Grambling, and then you play Prairie View in the State Fair Classic. And then moving into October, you have a bye week the first week, and then you go to Texas Southern. Coach, it's interesting to me that as a person that's observing your schedule, I'm not sure which one of these games in the first half of your season we will know who Grambling is. In your opinion, which one of those games will you know who Grambling is?
Well, I think you got to look at the Langston game, because that's the first game of the season, and we should establish ourselves, because we're gonna be in a similar situation with Langston in the first week, with us having 63 scholarship, and I think Langston has about 4 or 5. Maybe they have more since I left there, because I was once the head coach there. But Langston's gonna look like us. Langston's gonna be very athletic, but they lacking resources. So we know what we're getting into when we play Langston. Now, when we go to Ohio State, the biggest jump is from week 1 to week 2 in college football. So I'm looking for us to go to Ohio State and compete. People's like, oh, you're gonna get your brains beat out. Well, we don't know that. We don't know that, because I know one thing about my kids: they're not gonna be intimidated. They're not going to be intimidated, and that's what scares me, because they're going to go balls out, and get after these people. But then after that, you're going to play a Kentucky State at home and East Texas A&M at home. Then you're going to go to PV. But I think the week 1 to week 2, you're going to kind of see who we are, and then we can come back home, and then we can get things going. But I think by the time we get to PV, that's when we got to be rolling. The PV game is big. We got to be rolling. It's on a big stage. It's in Dallas, so that's the game that I think when you look at us, you'll say, okay, this is who they are.
Okay, Coach. And then of course, after the Texas Southern game, you got Pine Bluff, and then you have what I consider to be what potentially could be the biggest classic of all time, in my opinion. Yes. The Las Vegas HBCU Classic. The potential for this game is enormous, being that where it's being played and what it represents. It's really taking a classic outside of the footprint and playing it at an NFL stadium and on a huge stage.
Yes.
Against the SWAC boogeyman, who you've already defeated, Coach.
Yes. But
so,
you know what?
What do you think about that game, Coach?
Well, that's a big game, and you take your hats off to Ashley and Dr. Travion Scott from getting together and putting minds together and coming up with this classic, because I don't know if there's ever been a classic that far west, or even in Vegas. But it's a great opportunity for to go out there and play Jackson State. It's and we probably gonna return a favor and go back out there with them the following year. I don't know that yet. I had to talk to Dr. Scott, but that's a big game. That's a big stage. It's a big stage for both teams, because it could set up, like we can see each other later in the year in the SWAC championship if everything goes the way we think it's going to go. So it's a big game, but it's a great stage. It's a great opportunity for our players, and we're excited about it.
Yeah, the NFL Network has bought into it too. I was watching NFL Network game, and they shot a commercial about the game.
Yes.
So it's on a national stage. Go ahead. You still talking about the schedule?
Yeah. And I just wanted to wrap up with the last half of the schedule. You get the chance to get back with Alabama A&M at home at Eddie Robinson Stadium.
Yes.
You get to get some get back with Bethune-Cookman as well.
Yes.
And then you have a team I don't believe you played last year, which is Alcorn. Yeah, I think you did. You did. You barely lost to Alcorn.
Yes.
Excuse me. You barely lost to Alcorn. So these next 3 games, Coach, before you play Southern, you get a chance to get some get back, because those teams got you last year, Coach.
Yeah, and like I said, there was 3 of the close losses. And just going back and watch the film more than one time, I understand how we lost the game. And so my job as a head coach is to make sure that we don't do the same thing. I thought we was in every one of those games. Every one of those games we should have won. But that's an if. You know what they say. If my aunt had balls, she'll be my uncle. So I mean, I understand that, but we know we got 12 stop signs, and we got to take each one of them, personal. And so what time we get to October, we know what October means. October means whatever you did in September, nobody remembers in October and November. So we know when it comes to October and November, that's big, and we got to keep rolling. And I anticipate we should be rolling, because this team is eager. This team is fired up. They're ready to get after people that they tired of hearing the chit chats. And we always say block out the noise, but it's hard to block out the noise when you're hearing it from your own people. And I mean, that's what I say, when you're hearing it from your own people. And my dad used to do that to us when we was growing up to go play, man. Saying, "Oh, we're gonna bust y'all up today, boy." So I'm hearing this from my daddy. So guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna annihilate St. Aug, because when I can go with my dad, I said, "I thought you said they was gonna bust us up." So they tired of hearing it from my own people, and I gotta tell my kids, I say, block out the noise. They just trying to get you fired up. They Grambling. They want to win. They just trying to make sure that your mind's right. So we excited about the opportunity that to get those teams back in the hole and play a really good football team. Play good football teams. All those teams are well coached, and that's one thing they don't understand about the SWAC. These teams are well coached. These teams are well coached with good players. And I told my brother this. I said, some kids were drafted on draft day that I faced in a SWAC that should have been drafted. So I'm advocating that, don't just have the HBCU combine and let them run a 40. If they don't run a good 40, don't put them through drills. Put them through drills. But if you put them through drills, bring them to camp. If you bring them to camp, some of them going to make the team. Not all of them, but some of them going to make the team, because they are really good football players in this conference. And, I got to pick it back on what Dion said. You got to give them the opportunity, though.
Yeah. Hey, Coach, in your last game, which you're familiar with, and I hear that it's going to be renamed to the Terrence Graves Classic because he won the last 3 at 2 different schools.
Yes.
So, Coach, if you don't put a stop to this, Coach, it's going to be named the Terrence Graves Classic. And with all due respect, that's going to be a big game. And I'm going to be honest with you, Coach, since I've been in the SWAC, Coach, there have been several coaches that didn't make it to that game. Yeah. Because of what happened before that game, Coach. And so if if you make it to that game, Coach, do you expect to win it?
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna make it to that game. You know, I'm just gonna tell you, I'm gonna make it to that game. But
I'm just
listen,
being honest, Coach.
yeah, I know, but I understand. I understand that game. That game changes address. You know that gets your address changed, and I do own a house in Baton Rouge. You know, so if you don't win that game, I'll probably be back on my patio in Baton Rouge. But that's a great classic, and I have a lot of respect for T Graves. Me and T Graves been friends for over 27 years. The first time I faced T Graves was in 1999, Johnny, when we played Southern. And that's when the first time I faced T Graves, and so we've been friends ever since. When we was here at Grambling together, we were roommates, for a while. So I have a lot of respect for T Graves, and he's a hell of a football coach. He's doing it. He's doing his thing. He's winning a SWAC championship last year, and everybody said, well, he's on a hot seat. Well, I mean, why should he be on a hot seat? He just won the SWAC championship last year. So that's when we got to have common sense at some of these universities. You always think the grass is green on the other side, and it's not. So y'all probably want to, if he don't do this, then we're going to get him out of here. All right, well, go ahead. Well, you're never going to build a program that way. You can't build a program in 2 or 3 years sometimes, if you're lacking some of the resources. You got to give a guy a chance to work with your resources that you're giving him. But I respect T Graves, and I'm hopefully they don't name the classic after him, because that means he'll have a lot of money. But if he does, I can go borrow some from him, because that means he's got the rights to the Bayou Classic. But you're right. T Graves he's won the Bayou Classic, and he's a big gamer. He's a big gamer. He's a hell of a football coach, but he's an even better person. And he's always been a guy that tells me the truth, just like Eddie Robb over at Alabama State and Sad over at Alcoin. They tell me the truth. They say, "Oh, Mickey, I wouldn't approach it that way." So T Graves has been very instrumental in my career, because I always kept in touch with T Graves, since I met him in 1999. So I take my hat off to him, but he understands when Southern plays Grambling, we're getting after each other. But other than that, I'm always rooting for him, and he's always rooting for me. And at the end of the day, we're both in the booth. We understand that the pressure at Southern and the pressure at Grambling, so let's, at the end of the day, it is what it is. And that's what it is with the Bayou Classic. But we'll be ready. We'll definitely be ready. But I can foresee myself making it to that game.
Yeah. Well, Coach, are you ready to name a quarterback yet?
No, I spoke with both of them today, and I spoke with Ashton Fry and T Set today, and I told them I'm not ready. I need them to show me more, and John, understands that. I'm looking for somebody who's going to make good decisions and take care of the football, because I'm gonna surround you with skilled players. But I'm actually, to give me solid leadership, and I just don't feel comfortable right now naming a starter. So if I have to go in the first game and play both of them with the same game plan, I'm good with that. I'm good with that. But I told them today, I said, you two can't divide this football team. You two can't divide this football team, because what happens when you play two quarterbacks, kids are bandwagon riders. Whoever's playing good, that's who they want in the game. And sometimes they don't know who's playing good. It's just what they see. But they both been competing. They've been getting after it. I think they're both more capable of helping us win games, both of them. But at the end of the day, I've been in it before with Coach Osborne, that we played both quarterbacks at Nebraska, and sometimes they didn't figure themselves out to week 6. That's when Mike Grant and I kind of separated ourselves. But I'm not ready to name one.
Yeah.
Well, what I see, Coach, is and I'm gonna be honest with you, Coach. The SWAC gets underway really early this year, right? There are some really key SWAC games that are happening real early, Coach. You're the one schedule that kind of eases into the SWAC, and you'll know how the SWAC is shaping up by the time you play Prairie View at the State Fair Classic. Can you hear me, Coach? Can you hear me? Can y'all hear me?
Let me. Can you
hear me, Coach Cole?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wanted to ask him what did he think about. He's gonna know a lot about a lot of teams in the SWAC by the time he plays his first SWAC game. And I want to think that, does he think that gives him kind of an advantage this year of being able to ease his quarterbacks or ease his team into the season that way? Yeah, it sounds like he frozen. Like he say, he's down in Grambling, so and it's getting late.
Well, that's the thing about playing a team that quote unquote, that you can go in and really, test your team out. You know what I mean? See what's going on. You be able to grade them after that game and see who really is understanding your offense or your defense. And so it's a good tune-up, because one thing about it now, Langston ain't no slouch either. They get after.
Coach, what do you prefer, Coach? To see if Coach Joseph's gonna come back, we're gonna give him a little time. What do you prefer, Coach? Do you prefer to have a schedule like Coach Joseph has, where he's playing Langston, Ohio State, Kentucky State, and East Texas? Or would you prefer to have that schedule that maybe a Southern has, where they're playing Alabama State real early, or that Texas Southern has in Prairie View, where they're playing someone very early? Which one would you prefer, and which one you think is more advantageous to having a successful season?
It's always good to come out and get that first win under your belt. It's always, you get that monkey off your back. You get a time to grade your players. You get a time to see who really can play, who don't. But if you coming in there and it's heels down and ears pinned back, that's tough. Coaching at Texas Southern, 3 years in a row, you open up with Prairie View, who's coming off of a championship year, SWAC championship year. It was tough, because I was new coming in, and Frazier was going into his 5th year, so his team was more established than mine. But Coach is back. Coach, I know you gotta, we gotta let you go. Always, man, I appreciate you, and you always, don't never let me down. I appreciate the time and effort you have given us. And hopefully everything work out, which I think it will. Shit, Coach, you was right there, man. You was right there. I think the decisions you made on the offseason, and I heard that's the biggest thing. You gonna be more in calling your plays, or you gonna hand that off?
Well, you know what, Johnny? You know me. I'm gonna call in players without no headsets. I learned from the best. Hey, what you just tell me, young coach? I get with you in between series. Tell me what you see.
Yeah,
but listen, yeah. I know y'all was talking about the schedule. A lot of people got to go through a lot, to get to everybody. But we got to take one game at a time, and we will. And when we get to SWAC play, we understand now. We understand as a staff what we need to do when we get to SWAC play is a little different, and so we ready to go. But I appreciate you guys having me. We got an early morning. We practice that. We get there at 7 in the morning. We're on the field for 7:45. So we try to do it in the morning and get it out the way before that heat hits, because they got that rule in Louisiana. If it gets 85 degrees, you got to have a tank down on the field, and if it's over 95, you can't practice. So we try to get it in before it starts. And and the thing about it, they'll shut you down. The fire department will come shut you down. So we got to abide by the rules. But we're ready to go. And I appreciate y'all. And I'm sure I'll catch up with y'all. And I know I talked to Q over at Langston. He wanted to get on the show together, but he's excited. Hope to see you guys at some of the games. Johnny, I got you when we go to Vegas. I know you're going to be there.
Hey, look. I was going to tell you, I want my shirt and my sideline pass, baby.
Hey, look. I told Priscilla, my ex, I said, I'm gonna let the kids fly there with Johnny. She said, what? I said, Johnny gonna bring them to Vegas for me from Arizona. 35-minute flight.
That's it, Coach.
Yep.
We own it.
So
but maybe we might could get you and Coach Quinn to come back next week, for about 30 minutes, talk about the Shreveport Classic, why people should come.
Sure will. We need to promote it. Big Al's Big Al's the promoter, but we need to promote him more.
Okay, let's do. I'll call Quinn and we'll set some up.
I appreciate y'all, fellas. Thank y'all.
Right, take care.
Thank you, Coach.
All right.
Oh, man. Well, man, look, if you get your blackjack game ready, babe. Come on out to Vegas.
Hey, Campbell, as a businessman, why did it take to 2025 for the HBCUs to get to Vegas and have a classic there?
Man, listen, I think you guys got, and Coach knows this, man. Listen, the classic business and Al Washington, it's a hard business. People don't do classic, they can't make money. And you got to understand that thing out of Vegas, that's backed by the Tourist Bureau, that's backed by the hotels. It's a lot of money. They didn't just give that dome away for free. So I'm pretty sure they got what they call a nonprofit price. But like they say, just to cut the building on, they got to pay people. So again, Vegas, and remember too, you know, because wait a minute, and let's be clear, they've played games out in Vegas before. So they've even played UNLV. And stuff like that. So there have been games out in Vegas, but not, I don't think, a classic like this. But I think what they're going to look for, and again, you get the two programs that are big name programs, and I think what a lot of people don't realize, Grambling has a huge following, just like Southern out there in California. And they got a lot of alumni that don't get a chance to get back to Louisiana. So they're going to bring a lot of people. So that's the thing about it. I think it's a good match for who they put out there and things like that. So I think, again, if they're gonna put people in there, but he's got to make money, man. It's just got to make money.
He ain't gonna make
no money.
It's been several games out there, and Jackson State has played out in Vegas, and not necessarily played a black school. When I was coaching, we played in Sacramento. We played Shaw, and then out in the San Diego area, they took Morehouse and stuff. So it's been some games out that way. But at the end of the day, it's like Coach Campbell say, it's got to have some money, make some money. And I think the NFL Network is playing a role in it because you got two prestigious schools. And when you talk about Hall of Famers, you know, from Jackson State and from Grambling, and as well, they've had some players that actually played for the Raiders. You know, so I think the Raiders is a part of that game as well.
Yeah, it just seems like a natural fit to me. But at the same time, Las Vegas has not always been the big football city that it is right now. So, you know, with the Raiders moving there, that creates a whole appetite for football that maybe not was there before. Now, on that weekend, the Raiders, of course, are not playing. But I surely hope it's a tremendous turnout by the culture, because I think it's a great weekend for the people of HBCU to use to go out there to Vegas, have a great time, and spend some money and have some fun before you get to Halloween.
Of course, you know, we all back Al Wash. You know, they got the big game against Grambling and Shreveport. You know, I mean, Grambling and Langston College in Shreveport. They just now starting to do something there. You got a lot of casinos right there in the Shreveport area. You got, you know, the river down through there. You know, you got Eddie Robinson Museum just right down the road. You know, so I think that could be a nice little getaway as well, to go down to Shreveport and watch Langston and Grambling.
And you bring up something very interesting with them two playing a classic in Shreveport, which is a legalized gambling city and state, and then playing a classic in Las Vegas. They may have to rename their name from Grambling State to Gambling State. You know what I mean?
You know, one of the things that, you know, our audience know, and you might not even know, Rocky, Grambling is used to only having 3 home games. For over 40, 50 years, don't having 3 and 1.
They have 4 this year. They have 4.
Yeah, they're used to being on the road, man. They played in New York.
They have 5 home games this year.
Yeah.
They have 5 home games this year.
That's unusual. That's unusual for Grambling to play 5 home games in Grambling, you know. And Al Wash has been a part of the Grambling tradition, man, for 35, 40 years. So they're used to it. And the thing about the game too is Coach Quincy Morgan and Mickey Joseph, they actually worked together in Langston. And Mickey was the head coach, and Quinn was the assistant. And then Quinn would be the head coach of softball, and then Mickey Joseph would be his assistant. So they got a lot of things going on. I think it's a good game that you can make it to if you can make it, or call your people who live up there and tell them to go support the game.
Campbell, this question is obviously something that you may have some insight on.
Yeah, I would. You can just start off with Atlanta, obviously. Charlotte's a big market. Chicago, Dallas, Houston. You have a lot of people. You got a lot of people up that corridor in New York. You know what I mean? Because a lot of those New Yorkers go down to Howard, Delaware State, Lincoln, and things like that. But if you had to just say, those HBCU hotspots are Houston, Dallas, Chicago, and Atlanta. If I just had to just say right off the rip, and Charlotte right behind them and things like that, where you just find a lot of HBCU. And I'm sorry, and the DMV area, oh my goodness, because you have a lot of HBCU alumni there.
Let me ask you this. If there would be a if you could say there's a West Coast HBCU school, which one of the since there's not one over there, which one of those schools, in your opinion, because that's probably what we're talking about here more so than not substantiated about fact, Coach Cole and Mr. Campbell, which one of the HBCUs would be the West Coast school?
I would say Southern 1, Grambling 2, and I'll tell you the third, which is going to shine. Coach might not agree with me, but I'm going to tell you who has a lot of LA folks, because I've been out there, Texas Southern. Texas Southern got a lot of people out there.
I would just agree to tell you why it ain't number one. My roommate was from San Diego, and he ended up marrying his wife who was from LA. I think Texas Southern is number one, and you got to understand Texas Southern back in the 80s and 90s, and I got to still check. Texas Southern was the biggest college as far as population enrollment than all the schools for years. Yeah. I mean, we've always been in the 8,000 to 10,000 students, for years. Texas Southern enrollment is bigger than Rice. So we always had kids from all over, especially from the West Coast. I think Prairie View is another one, and of course, Southern. I would definitely agree with the Southern choice as well.
I think last time I checked, A&T was the biggest.
They are. A&T is the largest.
Right. Is the largest, and then it'd be, and surprisingly, Texas Southern, FAMU, and one other school surprised me that they were up there in attendance. I can't recall. It was a school on the East Coast that really surprised me. They had around 8,000 to 9,000 students. May have been Howard.
Morgan has grown by leaps and bounds. Might be Morgan.
Okay. Yeah. Because I actually, all this time, I thought Prairie View was smaller than Jackson State. Only come to find out that Prairie View has a larger attendance, larger enrollment than Jackson State. So Jackson State. Well, this is what by looking at those enrollment numbers. Jackson State got a lot of fans who ain't never seen the inside of a school. You know what I mean? So that's a little different. I always criticize HBCUs for not welcoming what you would call sidewalk fans, but obviously Jackson State has lots of sidewalk fans. Am I correct with that, Mr. Campbell?
Well, Jackson State is the city of Jackson school. You see what I'm saying? It is the city of Jackson school, and Jackson is a black city. Always has been, always will be. So it's the biggest thing in town. When a Jackson State game is going on, there's nothing bigger. So again, you got people, and everybody in Jackson got at least somebody that went to Jackson State that they're related to or affiliated with. So that's why you have that, again, Southern's like that. You got a lot of people in that Baton Rouge. Those black people in Baton Rouge, they love Southern. You know what I mean?
Well, coach,
So
you got to look at the thing. It ain't nothing hardly to do in Jackson. It ain't nothing hardly to do in Baton Rouge. I lived in Baton Rouge for 3 years. You know what I'm saying? It ain't like Houston where you got the Titans and Rice across the street and U of H across the street and Texas A&M down the road and all the fanfare that come through there, the shows, the parties, the concerts. So, Texas Southern Prairie View, they fight against that. The thing about Houston is they love a winner. If you win, they come. If you don't win, I don't care who you are, they not coming. Because they rather go see somewhere else. Instead, in Baton Rouge, man, it's LSU or it's Southern. It's nothing to do there. Or you run into New Orleans, which is 80 miles down the road. Jackson State the same way. I mean, when we talking about the state of Mississippi that's still kind of divided race-wise, and the people support the black school. But they also play good football as well. So I don't want to take nothing away from that as because you look at Howard. Howard sit right in there and they got a little bitty old they thing sit in there and they got a little bitty old crowd. What can get in there, coach? 12 to 10 to 15,000 maybe in there. And
Howard is huge HBCU. Huge.
Yeah, but it's so much to do around there. They still struggle fan wise.
But hey, Rocky, I want to say something, and I'm sorry, and I know Ron, and he's a friend of the show, Rocky. But let me tell you this: social media, and I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna keep saying this again. Stop believing what these people on social media are saying, because Coach knows this. If you go to any one of these campuses, them folks are gonna give you liquor. They're gonna give you food to eat. They're gonna ask you where you're from. So I am sick and tired of people using social media. So that is, I'm gonna cease that. I have been to until somebody can say, me and Coach are probably the only two people on this show that have been to almost every one of these campuses. It has not been. Do you see what's behind me, Rocky? You see that? That says Grambling, right? I had never been to other than to a game. I went down there, and I'm gonna tell this story because Coach will understand this. I go down there, and all the way from the president down there, they said, "Well, Mr. Campbell, where you from?" I said, "Well, let me tell you something, Mr. President. I'm a Tiger." "Oh man, you a Tiger?" I said, "Man, yeah, I'm a Tiger, but I'm a Tiger down from I-20." Everybody laughed and joked, and they had no problem. Them people open their arms. So it is not true. So stop. So I'm going to tell you all, stop listening to people that really have a negative thing on social media that don't support their school. And a lot of these people, and I'm telling wrong because you didn't go to Grambling, and you're on a lot of these shows. These people don't give money to school. They don't even go to the game. Most of these people didn't even follow these teams until Dion came. Okay? Let's be clear. So I want to just say that, Rocky. So don't believe that this mass gatekeeping. It ain't been a place that you can't go. That people, you go down there, you call G right now, and you go down to Alcorn and see how they treat you. You were down there with Perry, right?
Yeah.
You've been down to FAMU with me.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
In the Prairie View.
I hate when people say that because it's just, frankly, it's a lie. It's just a lie. And there are people on social media that promote this that don't know what they're talking about. So anybody want that conversation with me, my number's public. I'm shutting that down for 2025.
Well, I guess, and because I mentioned it, and I want to bring it up and put it in context. When you criticize a school or an experience you have on an HBCU space, the very next question they're gonna ask you is, "What's your school?" And so I think sometimes with us who don't have a school, right, that sounds kind of gatekeep-ish. Do you understand what I'm saying, Mr. Campbell?
Well, let me tell you what happens is because the first thing that you defer to because of what you see from the outside is a point of negativity potentially, right? So when you come for the point that everybody's going to get defensive, you know what's funny? I always talk to Scotty about this. If you listen to Paul Feinbaum, the same gatekeeping happens when people talk about us. When those people from Ohio State call in this show, them SEC, what you calling in for? You don't know about that. And they call them rednecks and all that stuff. So I think what happens is when you say, "Hey man, I went down to FAMU. I went to X school, and man, why they Fieldhouse not like that?" And we know why it is, but you just see it because you seen Baylor and you seen Texas, and you just asking the question. Well, I'm gonna feel some kind of way from X school because I know what it is again. So that's why people feel like that. So if you're going to come to me, the first thing you say, my girlfriend ugly, what you think I'm going to say back to you?
What your girl look like?
What your girl look like? You talking about my girl ugly?
Yeah. And again,
one of the things we are sensitive about people, because I know I'm sensitive about people sitting around and don't know HBCU schools and they talk negative. So if that's gatekeeping or if that's not letting somebody in, I'm very sensitive about that. You know what I'm saying? About people talking that never been there. Like we don't have, this is and that, and we do, and sometimes that's what makes us great. That we don't have, we don't have what I would say the titty in your mouth at black schools. We got to go sometime make it happen. We got to imagine things in our mind, because that's what I done when I went to Texas Southern. I went to go to Ohio State, quote unquote. Being in Ohio, you don't know about HBCUs, but if I had a chance to do it all over again, I would go to Texas Southern University.
A lot of my criticism comes from not having, and you call it criticism, and I'm gonna use it observation. Let me tell you something. When I think FAMU, I don't think of a lesser school. My imagination, the first time I ever heard of FAMU was through this guy by the name of Bob Hayes and my love for the Dallas Cowboys. That's how I know why FAMU is. And for me, Bob Hayes won a gold medal. Bob Hayes is an NFL Hall of Famer. This place that's FAMU that Bob Hayes comes from, it must be some great place. Because guess what? There are other great men who came from that same place. So when I arrive up and when Campbell is bringing me to this place, in my mind, I'm thinking of like the Taj Mahal. I'm thinking something super grand, right? And I go to a facility that's similar to those facilities that are at some high schools in Texas. And I say that, and then the people kill me for it.
Well, wait a minute. So I'm going to give you the reverse. That just shows you how great. And we just had Grambling on. And they say Eddie Robinson cut his own grass. Look at the all-pros, all-Americans, Hall of Famers, NFL play they produce. So what I will say to you is look at what we can produce with what little we got. Yeah. See, we look at it different. When Coach Cole went down to the Texas Southern and played, Coach Cole, like you say, he's from Ohio. He went down there to Nebraska with his brother. Coach, what you say? Your brother was sending you socks and stuff like that. Yeah. But listen to when you have Coach Cole and all his players that have either played for him or players, his teammates, they never traded for the world. Because even with that being said, Rocky, so yeah, me and you, you got killed on that. Y'all, man, I'm still getting feedback from them. Man, you brought that guy down here. He gets on the show and talks bad about it. But that's the DNA about it. Because what we know, we do the most with the least.
Put my picture on, Rock. Put my picture of the two legends.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, but Campbell, go ahead.
Yeah. So that's why people kind of get that funny feeling with what you say, because again, we know the background. Rocky, you right here with us right now. Scotty show the shows. We got a whole issue with and all these schools like that. And we know, man, every year, Coach knows this. Coach didn't get the money he was supposed to get down there at Texas Southern when he was coaching. He had to fight and maneuver. Rice didn't have to do that. Rice have to do that, did they, Coach?
Legends, Coach. These are legends, man. That's Marino Castle for people who don't know.
Where did he coach at? Where did he coach at, Coach?
Where did he coach at? Alcorn State, Coach.
Coach, you got to let him know, Coach. You got to let him know.
Coach, wait. Let me say something, Coach. Them Alcorn people text me all night. They say if you let Coach say Alcorn one more time, they say they coming up here to get on you. They say they want the stream. So I'm letting you know, Coach. You know better. Thank you. Because that folks roasted me, boy. I got so many texts last other night.
Hey, there's plenty of comments in the comments too about it. I mean, I'm talking about if you go back to that broadcast, you saying a lot of them are saying Coach is Alcorn, ALL-CORN. Yeah. Alcorn.
Alcorn. Yeah, I know. I get that. I apologize, man. No disrespect. And the
All
other guy,
going,
of
no
course,
hard.
is Eddie Robinson, all-time winningest coach in college football at one time. And if he ain't number 2, he's surely number 3. And between those guys, man,
Who broke his record, Coach? Did anybody break his record?
at one time,
Bobby
the guy
Bowden,
from Penn State
for
broke his
turnout,
record,
those two.
but when
Okay,
all that
okay,
stuff
okay,
came
okay.
out, when all that stuff came out, they took some wins from him. So that I think they went back to Coach Robinson being number 1, you know, on the major level. But this is how close I got to these guys. This just ain't no picture, just flat pan. I rode on the bus with these guys. We traveled from Baton Rouge, from Houston to Baton Rouge to Montgomery, Alabama, to Huntsville, to Jackson, Tennessee, all the way over to Mississippi Valley, because at that time you had Jerry Rice and Willie Totten in the league. So, you know, I had a lot of time to share with these guys, man, and it was just precious. It was just a precious time and moment.
Hey, Coach,
Who's
now
in the middle?
that's what I was gonna say. Who's that in the middle, Coach?
That's sweet J.C. Cole, Coach. Hey, look, I got the long leather to the ankle leather coat, double breast.
Hey, Coach, let me ask you this here, Coach. Now, looking at this picture, did you use Beijing on your beard or something, Coach? Coach, that's all.
Man, I was a baby, man.
Hey, Coach, you look the same, Coach. You look exactly the same, but with a little Beijing on your beard. That's the only thing. That's the only difference.
Hey, Coach, I was in my 20s, Coach.
Oh, okay. Was Beijing invented then, Campbell?
Hey man, that ain't no Beijing. That's just good look. That was Cole being a player, boy. That's fresh. I love that Campbell outside right there, Cole. You better tell him, boy.
You can notice. You see, that's when the ties with the mixed back ties. We all three had the dressed up ties, and I had the suspenders, baby, that you button up, Coach.
Coach, look like you had some hammer pants on, Coach. Are those hammer pants?
Rocky, those pleated pants. That's pleated pants, Rocky.
Oh, okay. All right, Coach. I thought you was like Hammer, about to get him in the mix, Coach.
Oh, man, that's Coach. You don't know about no pleats.
Man, I can remember the day.
Hey, look like Coach kind of froze up. Hey, let's do an unofficial vote. Are those hammer pants Coach you're wearing?
It just shows the history, you know what I'm saying? And these guys coached back in the 80s, the 70s, and the 60s. Back in them years, man, you know what I'm saying? So I was able to get that knowledge as well as today. Today I can kind of bring that with me. But both teams, both guys, man, full of knowledge. I remember Eddie Robinson always said, "What's going to happen to the conference is when guys is being put in positions and start making decisions about the game of football." You know what I'm saying? So, again, when it goes back to you talking about blue bread programs, what makes blue bread programs is not necessarily the school, it's the coach who's coming in there. And those teams, they commit to winning. So what does that mean? I'm going to go get the winning coach. I'm not going to get a guy. I'm going to get a guy who's a proven winner to take over our program. That's why when you look at all those schools, your Ohio States, your Alabamas, your Gramblings, your Jackson States, your Florida A&Ms, you go back and look at the history. Look at Florida A&M. They went and got Simmons. Simmons was a championship coach. He won in Prairie View. He won there. Jackson State, same way. Ohio State, Alabama. Alabama went and got the guy in Washington who finished 10-1, and he won everywhere he been. You look at them coaches. You go look at those schools. They go hard winning football coaches. They don't jump in there and be talking about, well, we're gonna see how this go. They don't do that, Coach. And that's the reason. But this ain't no no shame on no coaches that's been chose or no athletic directors, but it is what it is.
Hey, Coach, I just want to say this because this is a very nice picture, Coach. Real nice picture. But I miss the era when men could wear part of their hair. You know what I mean? like guys can't wear part of their hair no more. Like you see old Coach Chasm. See, I could grow what Coach Chasm had right now. I could have my fro back here. See, why can't a man wear his fro?
Stephen A. Smith do it every day, Rocky. What you talking about? Stephen A. Smith and Stevie Wonder are doing it. Jerry Rice too. I don't know what you're talking about. You better go look at all three of them.
Hey, and let me tell you some guys. You talking about comedians when they would get up on that
That's
stage?
a half fro, ain't it? Ain't that what's called a half fro?
Yeah, that's way back here, Coach. Yeah, that's way back here. That's way back here, man. But man, I cherish them moments forever, man. And I just thank God that I had a chance to share some of my coaching experience with two of the greats.
Oh yeah, man. Hey, Coach, it must have been an amazing experience to be at the feet of those great men. Not only be around them, experience them, and to see that, Coach. It makes me feel as if you're part of history, Coach, to be in that picture with those two great men. And I know, and those guys weren't your coach. And I know your coach recently passed, Coach.
Right.
And can you tell me what was his relationship with guys like Marino Chasm and Eddie Robinson? Even though he was a pro guy who came to college, what was his relationship like with those guys?
I'll be honest, it wasn't a very good one. Because Coach Taylor, bless his soul, he was a pro guy. I mean, Coach Taylor kept 4,000 in his pocket, all 100s every day. Every day you count. I remember one time I fooled him. Guys, I played basketball, so I would go in his locker. I kept my locker, and I was coaching with Coach Taylor, not as a player. And I remember I went in there and counted his money. I didn't steal no, I counted his money. So he come back there. I said, boy, you always keep that money on you. He said, man, what you talking about? If you could count how much money I have on you, I'll give you one. I said, oh, man, you got about 4,000. He took it out of the counter. He counted 4,000. He didn't know I had been in there before. He kept that kind of money on it. Taylor was, and that's why, when we talk about pro guys coming in there, he wasn't a good fit for us. One reason was about recruiting. You don't have to recruit in the pros. You know what I'm saying? Two, you get ready-made players. So, he wasn't used to that. You know what I mean? He wasn't used to recruiting. He recruited. Here's where our coaching staff, Frank Lewis. If you guys know anything about Frank Lewis, played wide receiver for the Steelers, played for Buffalo, man, All-American, going to be a Hall of Famer. Just Starworth. Had Starworth. He coached a kid from Alabama A&M. What's the other kid? Campbell, you know what I'm talking about? So he coached some greats, you know what I'm saying? And so when they came in there, he always was trying to, not necessarily because they had all the equipment and stuff in the NFL and how they approached the game, it was different from in the HBCUs. And so it rubbed, those coaches wrong. It rubbed Marino Castle wrong. And so when we played them guys, Coach, they were trying to kill us, man. They were trying to get after us. And they weren't turning the water off, Coach. They would lead they for starters in the game and they really got out for them. But we were good too. We scored a lot of points back in them days because of Lionel Taylor and his knowledge of the game.
Coach, it seemed like, as you tell me about your coaching days, Coach, seemed like y'all played with just offense. You tell me all the players on your offense that went off to the pros. You don't never tell me about a DB or a linebacker that went off to the pros, but you got plenty of wide receivers and running backs and all kind of guys.
I tell you this, I seen Everson Walls pick off us 4 times, my college roommate. I seen Aeneas Williams from Southern University, pick off several balls and when you know how when them DBs come up and hit that offensive lineman, that leg go back. I've seen that a lot of times. I've seen a whole bunch of great secondary guys, man, from Alcorn State, because that's all they played was man coverage. You know what I mean? That was Alcorn State's thing, to play man the whole freaking game, man. So I've seen a lot of great defensive players. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, Coach, what's the most famous DB you threw one to, Coach?
All of them, Coach. All of them. If they played, if they were on the field, shit, Coach, I'm gonna tackle them. But I never.
But I'm just somebody threw an interception too. They caught one. Did you throw one to Everson Walls? Did you throw one to Mills?
I wasn't playing during Emerson Walls. I was a rookie. I was a rookie against. I'm thinking to myself, from Texas A&I, the fastest man in the league.
Oh, you threw one to Darryl Green?
Darryl Green, yeah, I threw one to Darryl Green. I threw an
Were you able to get him down, Coach?
No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. No, sir.
Hey, Chuck Hunt want to know, did you throw one to Ike Hope?
I played against Isaac Hope. Yeah.
Did you throw one to him?
I threw one, but tell him I threw 4 that game down in Alcorn. Let's get that straight. We were all in Alcorn. That man coverage, we tore that, we destroyed that. But yeah, I played against Isaac Hope.
Coach, were y'all running pick routes that night?
Yeah, we was getting in bunch sets. We were doing stuff, man, that they doing today. We were getting in bunch sets and really kind of picking off because they had all their defenses were great, man. I mean, their defensive backs were great. So I played against Big James Polk, 6'8", defensive tackle from Grambling. I played against a lot of pros that went on to the pro ranks, and we had a lot of them, man. We had a lot of them. Every year you was getting 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys going to the NFL. And I don't know if they know we got more guys in the NFL than a whole bunch of conferences. A whole bunch of them.
Yeah, in the Hall of Fame, yeah.
In the Hall of Fame, yeah.
Hey, Campbell, before we get out of here, Coach, who are some of those defensive players that Coach from Jackson State that Coach might have played against in 84, 85?
Coach, did you play against Jackie Walker?
Yes, I did. Jackson State. I got a story about Jackie Walker, but I ain't going to tell it. I ain't going to tell it, Coach. But me, Jackie, Willie Totten, you know, we was in the what they used to call that, Coach. We go on a trip. You know, we go to each school, the SWAC tour. The SWAC tour. You know, my mind's kind of, and me and Jackie we were good, man, and we got to walk in them streets, and we found this one, Coach. We found one, baby. We found one. And that's all I want to say. But Jackie Walker, I played against Jackie. Yeah.
What about James? What about James Polk? I don't know what school
James Polk, yeah, he was 6'9". Matter of fact, I got a poster with me and him on there. Can James Polk, 6'8" James Polk of Grambling State, stop Johnnie Cole? Such. I got a poster. I got the clip. I'm gonna send it to you if we get to it.
Hey, Coach, did you play against Tennessee State while you were in college?
No, I coached against Tennessee. No, I take that back. I was the holder when Tennessee State went 11-0-1. We were the school. Texas Southern. It was a 25-25 tie for the game. We tied them, and that was Brian Ransom, Killer Brew, Richard Dent, those guys. Yeah.
Was that Lionel Taylor coaching that, or was that?
No, that was Joe Redmond, and that's when John Merritt was on his way out. He actually sat on the sideline in a picnic chair. He coached from a chair because he had cancer and he was going through some things. But yeah, I've seen that as well. But I've seen Tremaine Johnson and Mike Williams and all them greats, man.
Yeah, you coached Albert Lewis was down there too when you were playing right for Grambling, right?
Yeah, Albert Lewis I was a freshman though. I was a freshman. Them guys were I was a freshman. Them guys was the truth. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Hey, Coach, we're going to go ahead and give you a chance to get us out of here. We'll be back tomorrow. Do we got somebody tomorrow, Coach?
Yes, sir. We got the great Reggie Barlow from Tennessee State. Opening up his first year at Tennessee State. We got him tomorrow, 8 o'clock. And then we're going on to the East Coast on Wednesday, North Carolina A&T. Sean Gibbs.
Okay.
We got him. So we got two brand new coaches coming in HBCU space, and we will have them on the next 2 days.
All right, Coach. Hey, I wanna thank everybody for tuning in. I'm gonna let Coach Cole take you out. Campbell, you got any last words?
Hey, man, listen, I think what you guys have seen, what Coach Cole has done, man, you've seen some amazing interviews with some amazing coaches. I want everybody to, tune in, share. Please share. Tell your friends. I know there's a lot of other people that you like to watch, but one thing about we're going to give it to you a little bit different. We're going to give you some real things. And like I said, we're going to give you that real talk. Mickey Joseph gave that real talk tonight, Coach. It was 100%. That was real talk, and we appreciate that. So we appreciate all you guys watching. And like I said, I appreciate you all so much. And man, I'm excited to see a lot of you guys at the SWAC MEAC Challenge that's coming up this weekend.
Well, hey, as always, man, like I said, last year we had 1 million people watch us, 2 million, man, for a first year show. We're starting from the bottom and headed up. We just want to bring it to your living room and give you the information and let you know that we're Black and we're proud. We're nothing against any other race, but if we don't love ourselves, then we can't go where we need to go. Black schools are alive and well. Are we perfect? No. Nowhere is perfect. But again, if you feel yourself going through some situations, you feel yourself at the end of the rope, you tie a knot and you just hold on, because ain't nobody bad like you.